there's just so much rugby going around, and until there's a break, that's when you'll get rid of us. But up until then, the Kratos podcast will be here. We'll be discussing rugby as always, and this week there's, like I said, too much going around. The Safari Sevens in Kenya are happening. The Premiership in Uganda is kicking off. The internationals are also happening. There are blockbusters actually. New Zealand and England for the first time since 2014. Australia, Wales, a very, very juicy clash. Those of us that are watching international rugby know about that. And as always, I'm here with Ruben Chiumuro, a very good friend to our cameras, and retired from rugby until further notice. It's the 13th episode of the Let's Talk Rugby podcast. Of course, courtesy of Kratos Africa, courtesy of Nimao Restaurant. You can see the drinks are flowing in easily for now, but who knows what will be happening later. Let's, of course, kick it off with what's on everyone's mind right away, Ruben. The Premiership is back, of course, to the happiness and joy of very many. And there are two very interesting clashes to kick it off. There is a very classic derby at Chadondo, pitting the Heathens against the Buffaloes. There is a very interesting clash at Legends as well. Legends, so to say, Warriors and Rhinos. But let's first go back to Chadondo. Buffaloes losing about 7-8 players to Heathens, and they are the first team they are facing. How fair is that? Is it karma?
Not necessarily karma. I'm actually thinking it's a bit of a harsh start for the Buffaloes to have to the other side rub it in your face that we are now going to use our players against you and get points off you on opening day. But
it's very harsh.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, like you always say, derbies are derbies. Anything can happen. But looking at things on paper, the Heathens have too much firepower for that game, and I think they'll be able to get the bonus point. Probably, if they are efficient enough, they will be top of the table.
Those two teams actually met in the third place playoff in the Uganda Cup, and Heathens ran in about 6 tries, if I'm not mistaken. And Charles Hura actually kicked a conversion that weekend. I mean, it was amazing. So, are you already counting Buffaloes out of this one?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I don't know about the shenanigans of Uhuru kicking. I didn't even know about that until right now. But yes, Buffaloes is a very resilient and hard-working team. But you will feel like what Heathens really invested into their team for this season is where they want to be, and this will be a very big statement for them. They are at home. Both teams are at home, but you'd feel like Heathens is more at home. And if you were to compare position by position, I think Heathens have it by far. So I don't think Buffaloes can really do anything. But I'm up for being shocked or surprised, as you can call it.
Still on the issue of harsh stats, Kevin McMurdo's first game in the Premiership, in charge of Warriors as a coach, is against his former employers, the Sherry Miller Rhinos. How do you see? Is he going to have a very harsh welcome, or is it going to be a sweep? Because, well, we've known Rhinos to be going through a rough patch in the past month or so. Do you see McMurdo proving himself and others right that it was time to call quits to his time in Rhinos, or did he leave Rhinos early?
Well, before I even go to that, I think actually thinking about it, there is something about these opening fixtures that has a sort of Hollywood influence to it. It's like they're trying to get something out of people, because you see the other side, it's Heathens who took players from Buffalo. This side, it is former coach against previous side. But I usually like basing things on form and what I've seen on the pitch. So I'll go back to the Uganda Cup, which was the most recent that those sides have played ever since the exodus of various players and coaches. So I'm thinking it's a very, very tricky game. I'm sure the Rhinos are going to use a lot of their forwards, and the Warriors are going to play a very expansive game, and it's one of those derbies that don't really get enough limelight, I can say, because there is a sort of, what can I call it, competitive beef. I don't know if it's healthy or unhealthy.
It is very
and
healthy.
For other reasons that I'm not allowed to mention right here on camera, it's going to be a very heated game. Actually, for anyone that is not yet sure about where they want to be, I'm sure that is the game to watch, because it's actually more balanced than the derby the other side.
But what if you want to watch the derby first half, then come for the second half of Rhinos?
It is about your money. If your money says yes, why not?
because going still to that game, Coach John Mosoke, I remember we interacted during the Uganda Cup, and he told us that the early exit at the quarters was kind of a blessing in this case, because it meant that they would go back and have more time to work on a few things and there. So I'm pretty sure they're going to come up with some few surprises for Warriors. But also, in Warriors still is Oduka, who was a winger for the Rhinos. He's going up against, I'm very sure it's going to be Otwi versus Oduka, one or another. Who is going to edge the other in this one?
Well, Otwi is a more physical player. Oduka is a more athletic player. So I think in the wider spaces, Oduka will have the edge. But when it comes to the short spaces, I think Otwi will use his experience and his physique to go through. And then, like you said, it was a blessing in disguise, as the coach said. But you realize both teams went out in the quarterfinals. So both teams have actually been equally preparing. Though for some apparent reasons, Warriors no longer use legends for their Friday training. That's something I don't understand yet. But both teams have been working hard, and I think both teams are going to try and use their powers to their best, because I'm sure the Warriors, unless something happens, they will try to use their outside backs more. I don't know if Gabriel Aredo is going to be back, but yeah, it's for sure that the Warriors are going to have to use their outside backs. I'm sure Henry Musi is going to be back at number 10, calling the shots because of his distribution. And yeah, then of course, we had talked about Scott Olwatch going to Kenya, but I've been seeing him around. So probably he renewed his deal. So we are waiting to see that as well. But I'm sure the Rhinos are going to focus on their forwards, because it's a segment of their team that actually gets them forward more.
Warriors best be ready for the bang kind of game that the Rhinos play, because very many are calling it bang, like I just said. But it would be disrespectful to talk about the Premiership without talking about the defending champions, the reigning Premiership champions, the Pirates. They are going to Walukuba to kick off their title defense. And if anything from the Uganda Cup finals is to go by, Timothy Chisiga is not as fit as they want him to be. And the Cubs probably exposed them here and there. But do you think Walukuba have the pedigree or the class to cause an upset on the first weekend?
Pedigree maybe if they had it in the championship, but this is a new league for them, and like all teams that have just come up for the first time, it's always a baptism of fire. And I don't think it's going to be any different here, because Pirates will be hurting. Definitely, they'll be hurting and wanting to make things right from the final that they lost to the Cubs. Timothy Chisiga, yes, he picked up a knock here and there in his sevens endeavors. But it will be interesting to see. But I'm sure Coach Bobby is going to want to actually field a very strong side, because Walukuba is a team that I'm sure all other teams are going to be looking at to get maximum points. Remember, you're as good as you start, and the league is starting. You want to get those points, as many as you can, because Cubs is also going to be looking for the same. Heathens will be looking for the same. No one wants to be in the battle for few points. So bonus points, maximum tries, I think it's going to be one of those, can I call it cricket scores?
Cubs are in Ginger and Mongas are in Makeri. How do you see this one ending? How do you see this one ending actually?
Cubs in Ginger, I see them having a bonus point. It will be interesting to see how the backline is going to line up, because the coaches are spoiled for choice. They don't know who to play where. They're even experimenting people like Joseph Aredo at 13, and he's clearly not a 13. But you know, when you have class on your team, you have to find a way to create space for it.
Accommodate it.
Yes. And the other side, Mongas is actually a very, very strong team. They have had, I think, out of the teams that have been preparing in the preseason, they have had the most preseason games. So I'm sure that will help them to actually understand themselves better, to actually know their phases, know their structures better. And Rams have been working hard as well. Maybe home advantage will try to make it a tug of war, but I think the Mongas will be able to come out with a win. But I'm not sure if it will be a bonus point win though.
It is a prediction of wins from this table here that you see for the Heathens, the Cubs, Pirates, Mongas, and Warriors.
Oh, that's a tricky game, especially asking me. Warriors Monga is going to be a very close game, but I think keeping all factors constant, I think the Warriors are going to edge it narrowly, and this is speaking from a neutral point of view.
Neutral point of view, like I said, I'm not sure about that, but like you had wins for Warriors, Mongas, Heathens, Cobs and Pirates. And still talking about Ugandan players, we have a team that we're sending to the Safari 7 this weekend in Kenya, a team of boys that is yet to be made public. But from the Christie Sevens, where we had the emerging side, then the Africa Sevens, Tunisia side, who do you think is our best bet going to Kenya and probably winning a trophy, winning the Safari Sevens from Kenya that won it in 2016?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of a blend. The usual core players and maybe a few new guys to try them out and see them at the big stage. Because like I said last week, Safari Sevens is not something that should really stress us a lot. It should be an opportunity for some of our players to be tested at the big stage against very competitive sides, because Safari Sevens is something that is highly rated in Kenya. And it's going to be good exposure, and I think the blend, there will be a blend. I don't want to really name names because I'm not the coach, but just expect a bit of the core and a bit of some new blood in the mix, which is also going to hurt the clubs on the other hand, who are going to, especially Pirates, who are going to lose out on some of their players again, starting the season.
Safari Sevens are happening in Kenya this weekend. Of course, Kratos Africa will be bringing those updates, the games live, just the way you want it. We shall be here for the Premiership, and we shall be in Kenya for the Safari Sevens as well. There's Mwamba, RFC are replacing Burkina Faso. There's Homeboys, Kenya Shuja as always, Morans, Uganda, Namibia, Apache Sevens, Red Whalers, Cobras, Samurai. That's the lineup in Safari Sevens. Ruben, still going international because I want to wind this up. New Zealand are playing England for the first time since 2014. This fixture has been hyped for the last 2 years, from when England won the Grand Slam, when Oda Vunipolas were fit, when Twilaji was still in there. But since then, of course, the injuries have come through. All Blacks don't have that many injuries. Dan Coles is back. So how do you see England faring in this one, because they're at home? It's Twickenham.
Well, first things first. These are two of the most influential teams in world rugby, but they meet themselves at a very contrasting, I can call contrasting fortunes. The All Blacks are at a point where they have about 2 to 3 teams that can actually pull out a result. They sent a second-tier team against Japan, and they were able to put out 69 points. And on the other hand, you will have an England team that hasn't fielded a consistent lineup for the last 1 year. They are actually playing third alternative front rowers. They are playing second choice back rowers. They have so many injuries, and they have not been able to have a consistent lineup for a long period of time. And also, to add to that, maybe you can say that New Zealand has been playing from June. They've been playing together for a long time, and England on the other side has actually come from the league just collecting a various number of players to play the All Blacks, the best team in the world, which is very hard, and I think it's going to be a very tight game for them. They're going to suffer. England is going to suffer. I am an England fan. It hurts me to say that, but that's the truth of the matter. And I think New Zealand is going to actually come out with it maybe by 20 points.
Wales are facing Australia, a team they really love to face but haven't beaten in a decade. How do you see this one ending? As we wind this
I think Australia is going to win this game because a lot of pressure is on Michael Cheika to get things right. They didn't do so well in the Rugby Championship, so this is an opportunity for them to actually prove a few critics wrong.
If you are an ardent rugby fan, go to the Legends Rugby Grounds this weekend. Watch the Warriors, go to Chadondo, watch the Derby. There will be games on TV, of course, and Kratos Africa will be bringing the Safari Sevens. It's been a wonderful discussion we've had, and of course we shall keep interacting. Follow us on Twitter, like on Facebook, keep the comments coming, keep the recommendations coming. It's always Kratos Africa at Nimaro Restaurant. Thank you. We sign out.